the best of all possible worlds. There's a balance inside every girl. But if Lady Candida arrives to be leader, she'll take your little boat for a whirl. Antibiotics can save your precious life. Along comes Candida, causing you strife. Your kitten's so sweet, couldn't be sweeter. Cut down on sugar and don't ever feed her. If that lady comes knocking at your door, you better get out the big guns, 'cause Lady Candida means war. Be you pregnant or menopausal, you must keep watch on that nozzle. Birth control won't control yeast proliferated when all your hormones are super concentrated. If that lady comes knocking at your door, you better get out the big guns, 'cause Lady Candida means war. Damn, you're so hot in your spandex jeggings, but linen and cotton can't prevent infection. Allergies can bring Candida too. Soap, semen, and latex, just to name a few. If that lady comes knocking at your door, you better get out the big guns, 'cause Lady Candida means war. Over one way or round trip, yes, even if your partner has a penis. When it comes to Candida, you both are from Venus. If that lady comes knocking at your door, you better get out the big guns, 'cause Lady Candida means war. If you don't want to use those harsh drugstore creams, apple cider vinegar can play on your team. Tea tree and yogurt and garlic in your hole, and magic cabbage salad in your bowl. Lady Candida, she isn't all that bad, but a balance with lactobacillus must be had. You don't want imbalance to go the other way. Let's talk BV another day. If that lady comes knocking at your door, you better get out the big guns, 'cause Lady Candida means war. So many years ago, I started dating someone who had just taken a bunch of antibiotics after an injury, and I developed a yeast infection. And I had developed one other time in my life, when someone I was dating had just taken a bunch of antibiotics. And so I had the first time cured it with garlic and yogurt and just keeping up with the DIY home treatments. But this time it was a little harder. It was like later in the summer maybe, and I was traveling a lot, and it was harder to keep up with everything really well. And just like a couple weeks passed by, and I still hadn't gotten rid of it. It was kind of getting worse, and so I went to the drugstore and got the harsh chemicals that they have to fix it, and I didn't like taking that. It was like pretty painful and awful, and I think it made it go away. But then when I got home from traveling and was back with the person I was dating, I got the infection again, and I was explaining that he is carrying it and I'm getting it from him, and he didn't believe me that men could have yeast infections, and it was just something that I was chronically trying to treat. I didn't want to keep taking the drugstore treatment, because it'll just stop working after a certain point anyway. The yeast becomes resistant to it, and it just really affected my sex life and my in general life, and it was very frustrating. Sometimes I was in just so much pain and discomfort. I didn't even want to be conscious. I didn't want to go on. It sometimes would get so bad just having it chronically, and it would affect everything. Sometimes I would finally find a way to like make it go away, and then BV would come in, and that's just like the other end of the spectrum. And I would try everything I read about, like boiling all your underwear. I didn't have any nice underwear anymore because all the colors had run and they started to fall apart because I was boiling and ironing them, and was trying tea tree and apple cider vinegar and just like having all kinds of troubles, and just really getting worse most of the time, and reading misinformation like using baking soda. That caused a lot of problems. And my boyfriend made me go to the doctor. He's like, you're not trying to take. I was trying so hard to get rid of it. And I went to a OBGYN. I was like, okay, this person works at a hospital. She's an OBGYN. She's an expert on yeast infections for sure. And I got there, and she didn't believe me that I had one because I wasn't on birth control or pregnant or on antibiotics. And I was like, no, but you can have them other ways. And she's like, no, it's not true. And she like made me have all these tests, and then she finally examined me. She's like, oh my god, you have such a terrible yeast infection. I can't even treat you. Here's a prescription for the medicine again. And that was very frustrating, and I felt really unheard. And my boyfriend's doctor told him that men can't really carry them and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, doctors really don't know about this very common ailment to women's health. And so there were some things that worked more or less, and what ultimately worked was when I finally went to an STD nurse at a community clinic, and she finally had some really good advice for me, and I finally was able to get rid of it after like a year. And I had gathered all this information, what works, what doesn't work, what experiences are, and I wanted to make a zine because I was making zines a lot at that time. And I never really finished the zine, and then when I got more into writing songs, I decided I would write an informational song about it, and that started my whole series of women's health informational songs, because there's so much taboo around talking about this stuff and so much misinformation, even from doctors. And so if I just had this fun and interesting way of talking about it and bringing it into the conversation, that would be a good thing. So this was the first in that lineup, Lady Candida. And I performed it at festivals. People often really like it and they want to hear more. I have a urinary tract infection one, and some about contraception, and just all kinds of different little ailments like that, and things that I've learned from people that work, and things that I've tried. And so yeah, that's one of my crusades, is teaching people about sexual health through song. And sometimes this song is too much and I don't sing it everywhere, so it's special. Lady Candida. Thanks for listening.